Oh, I'll just go ahead, shall I? Yeah, thank you. Well, thank you, Madam Chair, for my introduction. I'd also like to thank both our teams, before I go any further, for what was really an excellent debate of very high quality. This is the largest audience that I've seen so far for a debate. I suspect it's because I've had the good fortune to judge our host team, so you all come along to see them. But that really added to the debate as well, and we felt that the two teams were aware that there was an audience here, and I think we as judges appreciate that rising to an occasion that we get when you come along. So also a big thanks to the audience, and by extension to Seoul English Village for hosting us. Excellent, Chair, and thank you. So, we as judges in this competition look at debates in three areas. First of all, we ask how stylistic the teams were. Were the words that they were using powerful ways of conveying their ideas? Did they, as I've already hinted that they did, appreciate that they were speaking to an audience and deliver their arguments in a way which was easy to understand and enjoyable to listen to? Did they occasionally use humour? Well, yes, we noted some examples of that today. With great pleasure, I really encourage speakers to use humour where appropriate in this competition, and there were some examples today. So the judges were impressed with the style of these speakers. They are all very accomplished public speakers. Another area in which we assess debaters is their strategy. Strategy is sometimes quite a complicated category, but really it means how did they alter their public speech to take account of the fact that there was another side, that they were engaged in a debate where they must not only establish that something is true, but establish that something else is not true. And here we felt that both teams listened to the other side, that they took up their points and tried to show why they were wrong, and they were offering lots of points of information. Sometimes really quite a lot of points of information, but we felt that it didn't become too many, although it was close. We felt, though, that some teams could have accepted more. Well, in fact, some speakers on both teams could have accepted more points of information. To accept 1 point of information in an 8-minute speech is not really giving the other team much of an opportunity to engage with your material as you deliver it. So that's just a small quibble we had with strategy. But these are very technically proficient teams who use their time very well and who structure very well. Now the final area that we analyse debates in is content. We ask ourselves, were the arguments that were put forward for or against an idea, were they good? Were they the right sort of arguments? Were they well supported and well backed up? Well, all three judges today felt that the debate took a slightly funny turn. Most of the arguments that were presented were really quite subtle, very clever, very sophisticated arguments about certain areas or aspects of free trade. You will have noticed it wasn't a straight fight, as it were, between, on the one hand, people who were saying that we must have all or lots of protectionism, and on the other hand, people who were saying that we must have all or lots of free trade. It was an argument that most of the time was about subsidies in developed countries, rather than any actions taken by developing countries. Now that wasn't necessarily illegitimate, it was just a very clever way of arranging the debate. But if you're going to make clever arguments, we think it's incumbent on both sides to make them really, really clear, to make sure that you show all the links between those clever arguments and the outcomes that you want, which is to say that a certain system or a certain setup is good or bad. And you must also support them and provide lots of analysis to show that the clever claims you're making in a certain area, in a certain arena, are absolutely correct. And it was really for those reasons, and comparing the two teams and how well they did that, and really how well it was that they established a link between the giving of subsidies in developed countries and the existence of free trade, and perhaps the showing or not showing of an alternative to that, that made us decide to unanimously award this debate to the Korean team. So